Hi, my name is Andreas Hirschi. I'm a professor for work and organizational psychology at the University of Bern in Switzerland. And it is my pleasure to give you a brief overview of my research and the topics that I'm working on. Ever since my adolescence, I have been interested in how people can live happy, fulfilled and meaningful lives. And while doing my master's in psychology at the University of Zurich, I got the opportunity to do an internship as a career counselor in a public career counseling office. And after finishing my studies, I obtained a national certificate in that profession and continued to work for a few years as a career counselor in a public career counseling setting. And one of the things that fascinated me about the topic is that I have become convinced that for many people, their career can be a major factor to lead a fulfilled life. So your work can be a place where you can express your interests, develop your strength and apply your strength, and also make a contribution to society. However, realizing this potential of work and of career development is not always easy, and in fact it can be a challenge for many people. One of the challenges that we face today is that we are all increasingly responsible to self-direct our careers. We need to navigate our careers according to our own values and according to our own goals, and we need to construct meaning out of all the work experiences, of life experiences, and out of our own personal career history. And increasingly, people want to develop their career by also being engaged in other life domains, which means that career development today is also more a whole life perspective, where you are engaged in your career, but maybe also simultaneously want to be engaged in your family. And all of these challenges in career development get accelerated by the increasing digitization and automatization of work, where we see a lot of changes in how work is done and in the challenges and in the requirements that work poses on workers. And so in this context of career development, I'm really broadly interested in career development as a lifelong process, which starts in childhood and often goes beyond official retirement. And so in my research group, we're doing research that goes into the early career phase, where we study adolescents who do career choices as young as 14 or 15 years old, typically in the Swiss context of vocational education training. But we also have projects that look at older workers and retirees to see how people manage their career at these later stages in their lives. My main interest when looking at career development is on how people proactively engage in various actions to attain goals that they personally find meaningful so they can attain a successful and satisfying work life. An important view on career development from my perspective to understand how careers develop over the life course is to see career development as a dynamic action regulation process. This means that people engage in various actions to attain different goals that they find meaningful, and that these are different processes that people engage in, which encompass developing goals or selecting goals, mapping the environment, but also personal resources and barriers, factors that can help you or hinder you to attain your goals, and then develop plans which take into account those barriers and goals and resources, and engage in different actions to implement one's career. An important perspective when to look at career development from this view is that I also see career development as a career resources management process. This means that in order to successfully develop a career, one needs to build, maintain and apply various resources that help to attain personally meaningful goals. To address this question, I have developed a career resources model which integrates different research on that topic. And within that model, we distinguish knowledge and skill resources, environmental resources, motivational resources, and a variety of different career self-management behaviors which are important to develop those resources. So for example, human capital resources, it's important to have a knowledge of the labor market, to have professional skills, but you also have transferable skills that can be used in a broad range of fields. Motivational resources encompass things such as clarity about one's goals, sense of self-efficacy, that one is capable to successfully manage one's career, but also the general sense of why one works and the importance of work as a life role more generally. Environmental resources can encompass the support that one gets in one's organization, the career development opportunities that exist in this organization, both in terms of more hierarchical development, but also in terms of getting more interesting work over time or more challenging work over time. But environmental resources are also the social support that one gets from one's private environment. And important career self-management behaviors encompass things such as networking, career exploration, exploring career possibilities, and continuous learning and updating one's skills. An important aspect of my view on career development is also that I look at career development from a whole life perspective. And this means that I'm interested to understand how people can successfully develop a career while also being successfully engaged in other life domains. And to address this topic, it is important to understand what type of strategies people can use to develop a career while also considering their engagement in other domains in their lives. So all those strategies of applying resources, building new resources, sequencing goals, but maybe also changing or abandoning some goals, are strategies that people can use to simultaneously develop their career while also being engaged in non-life domains successfully. So when looking at career development from this perspective, some broad and important research questions are important to address. One question is how to best engage in this action regulation process of career self-management. So how to best select goals and what type of goals, how to monitor resources and barriers, what type of strategies to apply in accordance to the existing resources and barriers, and how to monitor and if necessary revise one's actions and goals if one realizes that progress is not as hoped. Another important question is what type of resources are most important to successfully develop a career, and in what situations what type of resources might be more or less important. And finally, it is important to understand how people can successfully develop a career while also being successfully engaged in non-work life domains, and how the different strategies that can be used are best applied in different situations. In my general approach to my work, it is of course important to me to generate new scientific knowledge regarding those questions. However, it's also important for me that I don't stop there, but I also make sure that the knowledge that I, but also other people create, gets translated into practice applications. And one of the things that I have been doing in this regard for many years now is that I have been actively engaged in training career counselors in Switzerland to make sure that the scientific knowledge that we're creating is actually passed on to practitioners so they can then use that knowledge to counseling clients in the best possible way. Another important part of my work beyond that is that I'm also engaged in practice applications and in developing specific interventions. So for example, I've created a website, cresogo.com, where people can have a self-assessment on their career resources that they can then use as a foundation for their career planning. I've also been engaged in a national project to develop propositions for the future of career counseling in Switzerland, as well as implementing models on employability, on how to help older workers assess their employability and then improve or maintain their employability over time. And finally, right now, we also engage in a series of intervention studies where we take scientific knowledge and translate it into specific interventions that we then apply and evaluate scientifically for their effectiveness. So if you'd like to learn more about my research and about the topics that I've addressed in this short video, please go to my personal website. You can there find an overview of the different projects that I'm currently engaged in. You'll find links to publications that relate to the topics that I've talked about here. And I hope that these resources and ideas are helpful for you in your own research and in your own career development. Thank you.